of one, and well, because of the poster itself, it was wearing glasses, but whatever. Well, yeah, essentially a day and a half ago on Thursday, when I promised that I essentially got to see the movie Demolition, and essentially, well, yeah, I'm here to give you my opinion on the film, and that this movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Naomi Watts, and the great Chris Cooper in this movie, and essentially this movie is centered about this character of Jake Gyllenhaal, and he, well, it's not really a big spoiler, but early in the movie, part of the story as a whole is that his wife, he's in this terrible car accident, and his wife dies, and he doesn't. And essentially, he goes around coping in a weird way that me or you wouldn't really normally process it. And that one of the things he does, he goes to this vending machine, and he tries to get some food out of it. And that, well, he gets upset about not getting his food from that, weirdly enough, because that's one of his ways of kind of dealing with it. And he gets upset about the machine, and he's like, God damn it, why can't I get my food from there? So essentially, he writes this letter to the company, and the head of the CEO of the company is played by Chris Cooper, and that he kind of meets with him, and he meets with his daughter, who's played by Naomi Watts, and again, it gets close to her and her son, and essentially, he kind of copes with really weird ways to get over his passing of his wife. And yeah, that's just the main plot of itself, and I remember seeing the trailers for this about a month and a half ago. The trailer alone, I'm like, damn, they look good. I'm like, I really wanted to see this. It may not be my most anticipated of the year, but I'm like, I was eagerly, quite clearly anticipating this movie, because I almost love every film Gyllenhaal's in. Everything. Enemy was great. Donnie Darko was amazing. Jarhead, Nightcrawler, Southpaw. Okay, Southpaw may not be a great movie in my opinion, but it's still a great performance. So it was like, yeah, another Gyllenhaal movie up my own alley. How could I say no to that, essentially? And, in the end, if you ask me, is this film good or not? I'm gonna say it's not a good movie. I was actually really kind of disappointed with this film. I really wanted to enjoy this really interesting, somber, weird take on someone's own take of death of a loved one, essentially. And then in an interesting, unique, weird way. Not in a weird, quirky, Wes Anderson, stupid, weird way, like that, whatever. But to sum this film up is, well, as a whole, essentially, is that it's trying too hard to be an early Oscar contender. This is essentially a great cast, and they all give good performances. However, I feel like this film is just, in my opinion, it's the same thing with American Hustle, is that it just doesn't try to be its own thing. It tries to be that Oscar-winning film. It doesn't try, okay, I know that may sound very nitpicky and very, very crude to me, essentially, but come on, you cannot fall for any of that. It's like, this film, I'm just going to tell you, it tries so damn hard to be this really unique, vivid experience, and yet I was walking away kind of like, yeah, of course, the cast is just excellent. Chris Cooper, he's probably the stand-up performance in this movie. He really has an excellent performance in this movie as a whole. Naomi Watts, she's great in this movie. She's really good. Gyllenhaal, he's really good, even though I wouldn't say this isn't like one of his pantheon, like, top 5 or so great movies or performances, but it's an alright one. Like, compared to last year's Southpaw, which was, in my opinion, probably a lesser movie, but a better performance. Demolition, in my opinion, is probably a better movie than Southpaw, but Southpaw probably had a better performance by Gyllenhaal. That's what I will say. And for me, at least, it was very odd just seeing this film kind of unravel from my eyes. It just tried to be something it's not. I wanted this one to be just a bit more grounded at all times, but it was essentially always going for that big dramatic moment, and sometimes in the film it does work, and then some other times it doesn't work, and so it kind of teeter-totters at times, and you really feel like some moments do work, some moments don't. That's really all like that. Yeah, I said before, great cast. They all give good performances. May not be the best except for Chris Cooper, because hell, Chris Cooper is just a superb actor. He really is. The plot itself is fairly interesting, and I did find myself thoroughly fixed onto the film. Like, I was at all times interested in it. I mean, I've been always 100% captivated by it, but at the very least, I was paying attention. I wasn't like, end this movie already. I was at least interested. I was at least engaged with what was going on. Thanks to Naomi Watts and Chris Cooper, I thought their performances were good enough and their characters were likable enough to keep me interested. Gyllenhaal, while still giving a good performance, I just didn't really like his character. He just wasn't really likable, or the way he processed the way of his wife's death was a bit, I won't say distasteful, but it felt a bit wrong. I'm like, why aren't you reacting like this? But it's like, it kind of does show how people do kind of take a death differently. Some people may just automatically break down. For some people, it may take some time to sink into them. Like, I know, like, I've had three out of my 4 grandparents already pass away at this point in my life. And I literally according to all of them in different ways, I've reacted differently to each one of them. Some of them I've been automatically just really upset from the very beginning, like, oh no, it's awful. But some of them I will be like, it takes me more time to process that. So I admire and I kind of understand the film for taking that route of showing how every person reacts differently towards an emotional death that we're connected to. Hell, like a few years ago, like about 2 years ago, my cat died. Don't know why I'm saying that. Actually does have relevance, I would say. My cat died, and this is a cat that I grew up from a really long time ago, and she died like October 2013. I cried for, I don't know, at least probably I cried the hardest in my life at that time. I don't know why, but I may not connect with my cat unlike my grandparents, but sometimes we do kind of react in different situations depending on relationships with another. We may not always grow up, idolizing our grandparents or being present about them. So it does at least show the differentiation within that. And I do think, at the very least, that's interesting enough. And for the most part of this film, I found the first 2/3 of the plot of this movie somewhat interesting. Like I said before, it was interesting, and I was, at least, I'm like, where's this going? And coming where this goes, even though I do know the ultimate ending to this film, which is weird because the plot itself is unpredictable, but the final ending itself is predictable. It's like, you know what the end of the road is, but the journey itself is unexpected. You don't know where it's really going to go, but it's like, you do know in the end, he is going to accept the terms that she is gone, and he is going to at least try to move on with his life. You do know, we all know that's going to ultimately happen in the film, but we are, at the very least, we're interested for the journey. That's the film in a nutshell. Hell, that's any film in a nutshell. We may know the ultimate end, but we don't know the journey. We don't know what really happened from point A to point B in between there. And, it's at least interesting for that sake. But as a whole, this is in my opinion, it's a disappointing film in my opinion. I wanted to just really love this film. I was at least interested within it. I liked some of the characters, and the plot itself was interesting, and I was, for the most part, engaged with the film. This film has a slew of problems, big problems in my opinion, but at the very least, it's like a divided film. There's half-half. It's like half good, half bad. In the end, take it for what it's worth. Personally, in the end, I was very disappointed with it. Although I will fully acknowledge it's an okay film, but it has big problems in my opinion. It has some huge, huge problems. And in the end, that's just my review of the movie Demolition of One. And in the end, I'm going to give Demolition a 53%. It kind of does, in my opinion, break my heart to give that rating to a Jake Gyllenhaal movie. But, oh well, that's just my overall opinion on the film Demolition of One. Really hope you enjoy it. And stick as always around for the end, everyone, for you to stick around as always. And thank you very, very, very much for watching this. And I'll see you in the future for more videos as always. Till then, everyone, thank you.